Looking at this team with the NFC South here, we're talking about none other than that team in NOLA. That is the New Orleans Saints coming to town. Yes, they are. Although, who the heck is going to be leading them out of the tunnel this year? Because it ain't Derek Carr.
Nope.
So it's going to have to be, somebody else. And that is going to be the major crux of what we talk about here for this New Orleans Saints team. A team that was 5-12 last year, not 8-9. We'll have to
fire the graphics guy.
Fire the graphics guy, damn it. Damn intern. But yes, a 5-12 team last year. They're coming in with a win total of 5.5, with some money, some plus odds to the over there. This is a team that lost a ton, as you can tell. So let's get right into it. We'll talk free agent moves. We'll talk big takeaways, fantasy football, and then of course, where do we see this team ending up, and how can you make money off of it? Let's start with those losses, and the biggest one is Mr. Derek Carr, who I feel like retired should be maybe in a question mark there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's getting a shoulder injury. Maybe he's
medically retired.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly. That was a very weird situation where he had a sermon and was, that was kind of just an odd situation. But clearly he wanted out of New Orleans. We'll see if he's actually retired or not.
Right.
But he will not be playing for the New Orleans Saints next year. MVS, Jamal Williams moving on. Ryan Ramchek's another guy who retired. He's had some knee issues. He's a pretty damn good player.
No
kind
doubt.
of a hard guy to replace, but they did address that in the draft. Peyton Turner, Will and Gabe, my guy, Paulson Adebo, who's going to be a lockdown CB1 for my Giants this year. And then Dennis Allen does leave. And, they were able to replace a lot of these guys. Tyler Show, their first pick, their second round pick there, out of Louisville, older guy. Hopefully they're ready. He's ready to come in right now, listed as QB1 on the depth chart, going up with Spencer Rattler and Jake Hayner. They have called it an open competition, so we'll see. Kelvin Banks is going to slot in, the rookie from Texas, to be that left tackle and take over for Ramczyk. Brought in Brandon Cooks back to where he was. Donovan People-Jones. Brought in a couple guys on defense there. And then, of course, the change with Kellen Moore. So a good amount of changes here from a pretty bad team. What are your overall thoughts with their free agency so far for the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, I mean, they made quite a few moves. I just don't think that it's going to do much when it comes to wins. I mean, most of the season last year, it was the Spencer Rattler show. You got another rookie quarterback. I believe Chuck was in like the third round.
Right, second or third, something like that. Yeah,
second round. But anyways, like, I mean, he is an older guy, i.e., Bo Nix last year, but I just don't think that he has the polish that Bo Nix had coming into Denver last year. So, I mean, offensively, you still have the main two guys in Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave coming back from injury. Defensively, everybody's just getting older,
Right.
And in the secondary, you lose Adebo, you lose or traded away.
Lattimore's gone.
Lattimore last year. So it'll be interesting to see how this defense looks. They've been taking a few steps back over the last couple of years. And like you mentioned it, Ramczyk was an absolute stud at tackle. You're replacing with Kelvin Banks, who has a lot of potential coming out of Texas, but he's still a rookie tackle.
Right. So, rookie left tackle protecting a likely rookie quarterback or second-year guy.
Now, luckily, there aren't too many pass rushers that are household names in this division.
Good point.
You got that going for you if you're New Orleans, but I just don't know, how the season's going to go for the Saints. If it to me, it sounds like a kind of a repeat season of last year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think this is one of the harder teams to figure out because there is some talent on this team. Yeah. Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson. They have some guys in the defense.
Rashid,
Cam Jordan, right? You have Demario Davis still there, Tyrann Mathieu. Like, you have some talent there, but we just have no idea what this quarterback room is going to be. I mean, Spencer Rattler, I thought he was awful in college, and now he comes out and he was pretty damn bad last year. Like, this is a very highly variable team because we don't know what we're going to get at quarterback. I mean, this could be the worst team in the league, or they can be a competent team. It really just depends on what we're going to get out of the quarterback play. And there's
Right.
just so much unknown here. So this is going to make this for a hard read here. Let's go ahead and get into the injury situation. Really, there's two major injuries, one not so great, one better outlook here.
Yep.
Starting off with our guy Taysom Hill, the Swiss Army Life himself. Late ACL tear in
Yeah.
December, the
Sadly.
1st of December. He's only going to have 9 months before week 1, around that for recovery timeline. We like to see at least closer to 11, 12 to have any type of confidence there. What are
Yep.
you expecting out of Taysom Hill this season?
Not much, at least the first, I don't know, 2/3 of the
Uh-huh,
season. I think
uh-huh.
it's just one of those things that when you have an ACL tear in September, October, you have a decent outlook, at least for the better half of the season. When it
Right,
happens in December, that does turn into basically the entire next season, where
right,
I'm questioning, how, if any, production you're going to get from anybody, whether it's a Taysom Hill or Hawkinson kind of did that a year
right,
ago. But yeah, Taysom Hill is an absolute stud when he's on the field. I mean, like you
right.
said, Swiss Army knife, they can put him anywhere. I just don't think it's going to be the Taysom Hill show.
Yeah, our fantasy football hack there for a lot of people. Put him in tight end. Who knows if he'll throw, run for a touchdown, maybe catch one. But yeah, no, I mean, especially with the outlook of this team, like they really may be terrible. And if
Yeah,
they're terrible and it's becoming November, why risk Taysom Hill? Like from his perspective and the team's
sure.
perspective, why even risk coming back to a team that has little to no chance by that time
Yeah,
to make the playoffs? So there is a legitimate shot we don't see Taysom Hill at all next year, and I would not blame him.
yep.
Right? You do not want to come back, as early as 9 months. Definitely not before nine
To a
months.
2-8 Saints team. Yeah.
Right, right. Significantly more injury risk if you come back too soon there. So
Yep.
it'll be interesting. Definitely don't expect a ton out of Taysom Hill. A guy you can, I think, especially expect a ton out of is Shaheed. Similar to the Derek Brown injury,
Yep.
where we talked about the meniscus repair. He
Yep.
went with the better option for his overall knee health, although it takes a longer recovery. So it happened early on in October, but it's a 4 to 6 month recovery. He's got 10 and a half months of recovery to do. So he should be 100% good to go, Rashid Shaheed, for the next season, which should be a good boost. I mean, I'm going to go right
No doubt.
into this when we talk about, guys to highlight in the fantasy football realm. I think he's one of them. He showed a lot of promise last year. He, had almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in just basically 5.5 games
Yep.
with the Saints offense. He was an explosive wide receiver, someone that kind of popped up on fantasy, and everyone's kind of forgotten about him.
Yeah.
Now, meniscus repairs, unlike ACLs, Achilles tears, and some of these bigger injuries, they don't typically have as much of a detriment to next season. We
Yep.
don't see as much of that production dip. So this is actually someone I'm actually looking to highlight coming off an injury that I think we can get some value on. What's your opinion on Shaheed there for the season?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think he's one of those kind of boomer bust types of wide receivers when it comes to fantasy, because he's
Right.
such a deep threat. When is he going to hit that 70-yard bomb for a touchdown? But at the same time, like you mentioned, we don't typically see much drop off coming off of the meniscus. And he's a guy that you should be able to get in the last handful of rounds
Right. Free,
going into the
basically.
season. Exactly. So yeah, he's definitely worth a flyer.
Yeah. Any other guys you're targeting on this Saints team? This could be an interesting team just because they might be really shitty, but that
Yeah,
means they might have to throw the ball a lot. It's
ex-
just, can we
exactly. And
trust
that's,
anyone to get on the ball?
yeah, I mean, obviously Chris Olave and Kamara are kind of the staples, but another guy, Juwan Johnson at the tight end position. We talked about him a little bit last year, kind of
Yep.
again as a flyer at the tight end position. He was again one of those boomer bust kind of guys, but it all goes back to how Tyler Shock plays. Will he be a decent quarterback option or not? If he's
Yeah.
not, I don't know if Juwan Johnson will have much of a run. If
Yeah.
he is, he's going to be a great red zone threat, because Olave and Shaheed are more deep threat kind of guys. They're
Yeah.
great route runners, but they're not real big targets. Juwan
Right.
Johnson's a huge target.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, even talking last year with the shit show that was the quarterback room in New Orleans,
Mhm.
um, I mean, he led the team in receiving. last year. I mean, again, it wasn't a huge year. He had, 50 catches, 548 yards and 3 touchdowns. But still, I mean, and you talk about show or whatever it is, rookie quarterback.
Yep.
They love their safety valves, right? They
Yep.
love their tight ends.
True.
Spencer Rattler definitely loves his tight end. So whether it's Rattler or Show, it's someone that, again, you can basically get for free and kind of have a little bit of upside. I think Kamara and Olave are a little tough because they come in with expectations,
Right.
and they have to rely on a competent quarterback room.
No doubt.
We don't know if we're going to get that.
Sure.
I mean, there's a really good chance we don't get that.
Sure.
So I'm kind of less inclined to pay up for those guys than I am to take some flyers on Shaheed and Juwan Johnson there. All right, let's get on over to the betting side. Again, 5-12 last year, despite our major error on the graphics there. We'll have to get with corporate and figure that out. Win total, 5.5. Over a little bit plus money, under some juice, as much as minus 160 over to minus 120. Just depends where you're at there. Some of these futures, these are going to be long shots to make the playoffs. Anywhere from plus 475 all the way up to plus 800. Missed the playoffs from minus 15 to 1 to minus 750. To win the NFC South, anywhere from 10 to 1 to 14 to 1. To win the conference, 150 to 1. And the Super Bowl, 400 to 1. Likely might be the highest odds we talk about all season. Yeah. Maybe the Brownies are kind of fighting for that title too. I'm going to assume no futures. Any win total, any plays on that?
Nope. I just don't know what the Saints team's going to look like with Tyler Shock. I mean, it's just one of those things that coming out of Louisville, it's just you don't get too many eyes on Louisville games throughout the college football season. So I just don't know much about the guy, to be honest with you. He might end up being an absolute stud, but at the same time, there's a reason why he was a second-round draft pick and not first.
Right, and he had some injury history. He's coming. I think he was at Texas Tech, and then he was at Oregon, and then he went to Louisville, and he had an okay year. But Louisville, honestly, they probably had a shot to make the ACC championship, and they kind of blew it. So, I think he can be an okay player, but he's not one of these generational prospects like we saw a bunch of them, last draft.
Right.
I'm right there with you, man. This is just so much variability when we just don't know what we're going to get. And it's not like they don't have any talent on the roster.
100%.
So I came into it wanting to somehow be on the over, but just with so much uncertainty. And I know Spencer Rattler sucks. So if Rattler wins the job, that means Show is terrible. So I just couldn't pull the trigger there. I will be targeting a player here, and I already talked about him. So let me just continue on. Rashid Shaheed, over 700.5 receiving yards at minus 110. 5+ receiving touchdowns at plus 110, and 1,000+ receiving yards at 4 to 1 over on DraftKings. He had 350 yards, 3 touchdowns in less than 6 games last season. I understand Olave is that wide receiver 1, but Olave's had 4 or 5 concussions in the past 4 or 5 years. He's been dealing with some stuff, and the defense knows about Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara. I think you can still get away with Rashid Shaheed with a bunch of those deep shots there. And let's be honest, this team might be really bad and might have to have a shit ton of garbage time. And he's going to be one of those guys that can be a benefactor. He averaged almost 60 yards a game last year, including the game he got hurt in. So I just think he's someone who's being very under the radar, but his dude's got a lot of talent. So I don't know a lot about the Saints team as far as what to expect, but I am expecting Rashid Shaheed to have a bounce back year and to kind of crack that 1,000 yards and really be a nice piece for them going into next season.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the wide receiver room too, and I'm not afraid to touch Chris Olave. Chris Olave is an absolute stud. The 2 years prior that he was in the league, he was well over 1,000 yards. So give me Chris Olave to have 1,000 yards at plus 150. Obviously, the biggest concern is his injury history, and you already kind of touched on that a little bit. But I think out of all of these wide receivers, to me, he is a clear number 1 target. And right. I think with Shaheed on the other side, that still has to draw a little bit of safety coverage because he is a deep threat. So Chris Olave is as smooth as they get when it comes to route running. He'll get some of those intermediate throws and peak over that 1,000 yards once again.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Olave, he's a stud. He's just got to stay healthy, but I think if he does, No surprise there, the Buckeye fan riding the Buckeye to go over there. But all right, for these New Orleans Saints heading into the 2025 season, we see a lot of variability with this team. It could be anywhere from 1 win to 6 wins to 7 wins, and I think neither of us would be surprised. It all comes down to that quarterback room.
No.
But one thing we are betting on is whether it's garbage time or whether it's because they're being competitive, is I'm on Rashid Shaheed to have a year, and Derek is taking Chris Olave to break 1,000 yards. Again, all he's got to do is just stay healthy there. And we will see what this very, very variable New Orleans Saints team is going to be this year. I think one of the most variable teams we're going to talk about this whole season. And we are going into the next team. But before we get to that, I got to tell you to check out idpplus.com, because we talk football 365 days a year, 24/7. That's what we do, especially if you like the beautiful game of football, not just the offensive side, but you want to watch it all 22 players. You like the defensive side. That is where we have guys that focus on whether it's IDP fantasy, betting. I'm telling you, the most total holistic view of football you're going to get at idpplus.com. Come check it out. Join the subscribers only Discord and get subscribers only content that we produce to make sure you have a leg up in your leagues, on your betting sites, whatever it may be. So check out idpplus.com today.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.